Today on The Occult Detective, it's a sinister and fantastic book haul. Made another trip to my favorite book warehouse, and we came away with some terrific treasures that I'm excited to show off to you. Let's start with the sinister side of things. I don't know if you're familiar with Sinister Cinema, but they are a distributor of obscure B movies, and I picked up a couple of these: Werewolf versus the Vampire Woman and Fury of the Wolfman. And I just love the box art on these. I couldn't pass this up. Such a fan. Let's look at some comics. Jeff Johns' Secret Origin Green Lantern. Not my favorite, but as always, the price is right with these things, and the art is spectacular. Again, the price is right. Also, Stranger Things, The Other Side, show I really appreciate, and as you can well imagine, living in rural Indiana as I do, I felt a real affinity to the Stranger Things story, particularly the first season. I also have Paul Cézane's The Comic Book. Now you'll notice I did a little repair job on the corner. A dog had eaten this. You can see there's still some rubbing there, but couldn't pass this book up. I mean, it has big, bold art displayed throughout, with interesting little histories of the comic medium. Really cool book. It's an ex-library. How about some horror? Peter Straub's Julia. We also have the screenplay to From Dusk Till Dawn. Alfred Hitchcock presents Stories for Late at Night. He's a lot of nostalgia wrapped up in this one. This was a favorite of mine when I was a wee lad. Now it's time for some fantasy. Let's begin with the Hildebrand Brothers with Jerry Nichols, Urshak. If you're familiar with the Hildebrandts, fantasy artists, probably most famous for the work they did on Lord of the Rings. I cannot comment on the story, but the illustrations are fantastic. So this was a interesting little find. How about Starman's Son by Andre Norton? With a cover like that, you're not passing that up. How about Death Beast by David Gerrold? You probably know him best as the author of several classic Star Trek episodes, The Trouble with Tribbles in particular. Dinosaur, laser rifles. We also have, edited by Isaac Asimov, Martin Harry Greenberg, and Charles G. Wogg, it's Dragon Tales. It's an interesting little anthology. It's got stories by David Drake, L. Sprague de Camp, Fitz James O'Brien, Orson Scott Card, L. Frank Baum, Dinar Kuntz, Anne McCaffrey. Yeah, it's just it'll be a fun little read there. And then we have 3 books of The Expendables by Richard Avery. These all contain wonderful Ken Kelly paintings. Ken Kelly, of course, is the nephew of Frank Frazetta. And I think you can see Frank's influence in Ken's art. Speaking of Frank, I will leave you with these. Pellucidar, Frazetta. Back to the Stone Age, Frazetta. And finally, John Gore of Lost Land by Robert Moore Williams, Frazetta. First time in paperback. So there you have it. A terrific book haul. And I'm just scratching the surface. Still a mountain of things to go through at the warehouse. Many more VHS tapes, which I don't even have a VHS player, but just a mountain of Godzilla films, Universal Monsters, classic 70s and 80s horror movies, like Sisters of Death, and it's just hard to pass up. I mean, how hard would it be to find a VCR? Just a lot of nostalgia and all that. So that's all I have for you today. It's been a lot of fun. Back to more March of the Magicians later this week. We'll see you then.